I am making a Jurrac deck profile. I am mainly making this just because I was actually really excited to find out Jurrac was getting more support in Monster Mayhem, which the way the deck plays now, I think is really funny as just a lot of decks seem like they can't actually function after being Nibiru'd once. And the fact that this deck can theoretically Nibiru your opponent 4 times in one turn, I think is hilarious. But starting off with the monsters, I play 2 copies of Jurrac Aolo. Aolo can just tribute itself to then target a level 4 or lower Jurrac in your grave and special summon it. Yeah. What it is. And then next, I play 3 copies of Jurrac Megalo. Jurrac Megalo has the effect that if you control a dinosaur monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then in your main phase, you can discard 2 cards, including a Jurrac card, then draw 2 cards. If this card is destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can send a Jurrac monster from your deck or extra to the graveyard except for another Megalo. And you can only use each effective Megalo once per turn. But really, you don't use this for its effects, more the fact that it's a level 1 tuner. And then because it's a dinosaur deck, I feel like it's mandatory to play 3 copies of Baby Ceratosaurus. As when Baby Ceratosaurus is destroyed, not once per turn, or even once per chain, then you can special summon a level 4 or lower dinosaur monster from your deck. And because this is I'm trying to figure out what ratios of cards I want to play and what I don't want to play before I add hand traps. I also play 3 copies of Petite Pteranodon, which honestly I'll probably keep these in and take out other things. But Petite Pteranodon does the exact same thing as Baby Ceratosaurus, except Petite Pteranodon has summon a level 4 or higher dinosaur. Next, I play 1 copy of Kaitotera. This card just lets you add polymerization when it's special summoned. And then, if it's banished, you can special summon it, and then you can add polymerization from your graveyard to your hand. So when summoned, it adds polymerization, and then when special summoned by being banished, it adds polymerization from graveyard to hand. And then next, I play 3 copies of Jurrac Stego. Jurrac Stego has the effect during your main phase, you can destroy 1 card you control, and if you do, send a dinosaur monster from your deck to the graveyard. Then you can special summon 1 Jurrac monster or monsters from your hand or deck, except for another Stego, whose total levels equal the sent monster's level. Which normally you'll have Stego destroy itself to then summon 2 Aolo and 2 Megalo. However, the only downside of this effect is that it does lock you into dinosaur for rest of the turn. So if you want to summon any of your evil swords, you have to do that first. And then because it is a dinosaur deck, I feel like you do have to play 3 copies of Oviraptor. Oviraptor has the effect that when summoned, you can add to your hand or send a dinosaur monster from your deck. And then once per turn, Oviraptor can target a dinosaur monster on the field and a dinosaur monster in your graveyard, destroy the target on field, and if you do, special summon from grave. Next, I play 1 copy of Miscellaneousaurus. Miscellaneousaurus has the effect that you can send from your hand to the graveyard during the main phase, to make it so that during that main phase, all dinosaur monsters you control are unaffected by your opponent's activated card effects. And then you can banish Miscellaneousaurus, as well as any other number of dinosaurs from your graveyard, to be able to summon a dinosaur monster from your deck whose level equals the total number of dinosaurs banished by this effect. And you only use each effect of Miscellaneousaurus once per turn. I'm still really hoping that Miscellaneous comes back to 2 or 3 at some point, just because I feel like without it, Dinosaur is just going to be a rogue deck. Next, I play 1 copy of Giant Rex. Giant Rex just has the effect that it's special summoned when it's banished. It can't attack directly, and then when it's summoned after being banished, it gains 200 attack for each banished dinosaur. Next, I play 2 copies of Xenometeorus. Xenometeorus has the effect that if this card's in your hand, or then you can special summon it if a card on the field is destroyed, or a card on your side of the field is destroyed. Card was destroyed. I apologize, my brain's not wanting to work. If a card in your hand or on your field is destroyed, you can special summon this card from your hand. And then once per turn, you can destroy a dinosaur monster from your hand or face-up field, special on a normal monster from your deck. But if you use that effect, then you're locked into dinosaur, dragon, worm, and sea serpent. Which, considering what this deck is, there's only that the way this current build is, there's only one card in the extra deck that you can't summon if you do that. And then I'm also playing one copy of Frostosaurus. Frostosaurus is just in here to be summoned off of Xenometeorus. And allows you for rank 6 plays. Or a specific fusion monster that I still think is really broken when you can do it. And then next, I play 3 copies Dino Wrestler Pancratops. I'm probably going to end up putting these in the side deck and then replacing them with 3 copies of Nibiru. But Pancratops has the effect that if your opponent has more monsters than you do, you can special summon it. And then contribute a Dino Wrestler monster you control to target one face-up card monster your opponent controls. Or as a face-up card, and destroy that target. Okay, target one card your opponent controls and destroy it. And you'll use each effect of Pancratops once per turn. The next is one of the monsters I think is still one of the most broken boss monsters of a deck, which is 3 copies of Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. Ultimate Conductor Tyranno has the effect that it can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each, and then once per turn during the main phase as a quick effect, you can destroy a dinosaur monster from your hand or face-up field, and if you do, flip all monsters your opponent controls face down. And then lastly, if Tyranno attacks a monster in defense position, you can then send that monster to the graveyard before damage calculation to then inflict 1,000 points of damage to your opponent. I still think Tyranno is one of the most broken boss monsters in the game. Moving on to the spells, I play 1 copy of Polymerization, as you only really need one since you'll only fusion summon like 2 or 3 times with this card. Next, I play 3 copies of Fossil Dig. This just lets you add a level 6 or lower dinosaur from your deck to your hand. Still surprised that Reinforcement of the Army is at 1, considering this card actually lets you get more, and it's not once per turn either. Then next, I play 3 copies of Jurrac Volcano. Jurrac Volcano has the effect that during your main phase, you can destroy a dinosaur monster you control, and if you do, special summon a Jurrac monster from your deck. If your opponent special summons a monster or monsters and they have activated 4 or more monster effects this turn, except during the damage step, then you can special summon 1 Jurrac Meteor from your extra deck. This is treated as a synchro summon. And if a Jurrac monster or monsters you control be destroyed by battle or card effect, you banish a dinosaur monster from your graveyard instead. And you only use each effect at Jurrac Volcano once per turn. And then lastly, for the spells, I play 3 copies of Ground Xeno. The one thing I really like about this card is that this plus any baby is full combo. As Ground Xeno lets you add a dinosaur tuner or dinosaur normal monster from your deck to your hand, and then you destroy 1 card in your hand. Which normally I'll have this grab Xenometeorus, and then I'll destroy a baby in hand, so then chain 1 the baby, chain 2 Meteorus, so that I can get around something like Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. So the Meteorus will summon itself, and then the baby will summon something like Soul Eating Oviraptor or Jurrac Stego. And then Xenometeorus also has the grave effect that you can banish it to then fusion summon. What was it? Fusion summon a dinosaur fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as material. And you can only use each effect as Ground Xeno once per turn. And then lastly, I play 1 copy of Jurrac Impact. This just makes it so that if you control a dinosaur monster with 2,500 more attack, you destroy all cards on the field. And that's it for the main deck. I believe the main deck is currently 40 cards. For the extra deck, I play 2 copies of Horned Saurus. Horned Saurus has the effect that when it's fusion summoned, or this card can attack directly the turn it's special summoned, and if it's fusion summoned, you can activate a field spell from your deck or graveyard. And then, let's see, we'll forget the rest of its effects. Okay, you can only use each of the effects of Horned Saurus once per turn. Or you don't activate a field spell, you place a field spell from your deck or graveyard face up in your field zone. And then its final effect is, during your main phase, you can activate this card's effect, immediately normal summon a dinosaur or a dragon monster from your hand. And then next, I play 1 copy of Guardian Chimera. I feel like if you're playing a deck with a searchable polymerization, you might as well play at least 1 copy of Guardian Chimera. Guardian Chimera has the effect that when it's acquiring 3 monsters with different names, with at least 1 being on the field and at least 1 in hand. When it's fusion summoned, you destroy cards your opponent controls up to the number of monsters on your field that are used for its fusion summon, and then you draw cards from your deck for each monster from your hand that was used for its fusion summon. And then if polymerization is in your graveyard, Guardian Chimera cannot be targeted by card effects. And then the fusion monster I still really like is one copy of Transcendosaurus Gigantozauler. Gigantozauler has the effect that this card is special summoned. You can target a dinosaur monster in your graveyard, add to your hand. And then if this card is special summoned from the graveyard, you can destroy one card. You can destroy 2 cards, one from your hand or field, and one your opponent controls. And then if this card is destroyed, then you can shuffle a normal monster from your graveyard into the deck to then special summon this card from the graveyard. You only use each affected Transcendosaurus Gigantozauler once per turn. This card is the reason why I'm playing Frostosaurus, as Meteorus can then special summon the Frostosaurus from the deck by destroying any dinosaur that's face up on your field or graveyard. And then you can use Ground Xeno to fuse the Frostosaurus with any other dinosaur to summon Gigantozauler. Then Zauler will return any dinosaur from your graveyard back to your hand, which if you don't have a baby in hand for it, then I would return a baby. Then you can have Ultimate Conductor Tyranno destroy Gigantozauler to flip all your opponent's monsters face down. Then Gigantozauler can then special summon itself from the graveyard by returning Frostosaurus back to the deck. And then Gigantozauler gets to destroy the baby Ceratosaurus the baby that's in your hand, as well as any card your opponent controls. And then the baby will let you summon an Oviraptor so you can get set up for your next turn. It's just a thing I really like doing. Anyway, next I play 2 copies of Evil Tsar Dolka. Dolka has the effect that when your opponent activates a monster effect, then you can use the material, detach a material to then negate the effect and destroy that monster. So for some reason, Dolka is not once per turn. Then I play 1 copy of Evil Tsar Logia. Evil Tsar Logia does the same thing as Dolka, except instead of negating monster effects, it negates the activation of spells, traps, or a summon of a monster by detaching 2 material. And then next I play 1 copy of Evil Tsar Lars. Evil Tsar Lars is a once per turn, detach material, target 1 card your opponent controls, and negates effects. Or if it doesn't have a dinosaur or dragon as material, then it has to detach 2, but since it's a dinosaur deck, it's always going to be detach 1. Next, I play 1 copy of Jurrac Velveto. Jurrac Velveto is it's only in here as a stepping stone, as you will use an Aolo to summon this. Or if you have Stego destroy itself, then you can have Aolo bring back Stego, tune one of the Megalos with the Stego, summon this, then you'll use the other Aolo to bring back Stego again, then tune your 3 remaining Jurracs to summon one of the next monster, which is 3 copies of Jurrac Astero, or Ostero, however you want to pronounce it. But Jurrac Astero has the effect that when special summon, you can set a Jurrac spell or trap from your deck. So it'll either set Jurrac Volcano, or it'll set Jurrac Impact. But it also has the effect that once per turn, when your opponent activates, or your opponent would special summon a monster, quick effect, you can banish 2 dinosaur monsters from your graveyard and negate the summon. And then if you do destroy that monster, then during your opponent's turn, as a quick effect, you can banish 2 Jurrac monsters from your graveyard, including this card, special summon 1 Jurrac Meteor from your deck. This is treated as a synchro summon. So in case you're wondering what Jurrac Meteor does, because the weird thing about this card is that there's no once per turn on it anywhere. So you summon multiple of these, you can set multiple Jurrac Impacts or multiple Volcanoes. Don't know why you'd want to do more than 2. 1 of each. But I do still think it's funny that there's no once per turns on it anywhere for some reason. Just like with this next card being Jurrac Meteor, 3 of them. But Jurrac Meteor has the effect that when this card is synchro summoned, destroy all cards on the field. Then you can special summon 1 tuner monster from your graveyard. Which, if your opponent's just ending their turn right then and there, you bring back Aolo. But that is it for my dinosaur deck profile. Or my Jurrac deck profile. So, if you have any ideas what I can do to improve the deck, I'll try to figure out ratios so then it had hand traps, and I'll make an updated version with hand traps. But if you have any ideas what I can do to improve the deck, and ideas for decks I can see be made in the future, or decks I can see face each other, feel free to comment down below. And thank you for watching.